Step one, disconnect your battery. Notice the heater box is held in with these 3 bolts. So we're gonna skip a bunch of steps and we're gonna remove this bolt. Because if you can't remove this, you might as well not do all of this. Step 2, remove mirror. Step 3, remove ashtray. So I am gonna remove this heater box in theory without removing the dash and without removing the center console. That's the plan. I'm trying to do the shortcut way. Next up is get yourself a little wrench. And I've got this little stubby set I've gotten for emergencies. And you're gonna need the biggest one, the 7/16. Here it is here. I stuck it in my vise. And you notice, I put a little kink in it for a reason. Carefully in the hole, you can see your heater box right there. And what you wanna get off is that bolt right there. Very simply, very slowly, take your wrench, 7/16, and get on there, and you're gonna start untwisting it. All right, it's loose now. I can get my hand in here backwards, and I can start unscrewing it now. That's certainly a lot faster. So definitely keep trying to see when it's loose and get that bolt out. That'll be the proof of concept for you to continue on. If you can get this bolt out, you should be able to get the heater motor out. That only took a few minutes, folks. Done. The rubber grommet thing stays in there, so don't worry about that. Next step, we're going to save ourselves a lot of pain. We're going to remove this seat. You want to open it up so it's as flat as possible. Get it up, get some 1/2-inch tools, and I use a block of wood to prop it up. And take a picture so you remember which holes these went into, so you don't forget, because there's different holes there. And then remove these 2 bolts and get your seat out. Seat's out, hardware's put back in place. Now you want to, if you got new carpet, you're going to want to move it in case you get some coolant spillage, but you want to get this area ready. So I got some padding now to lay down on, and I got a beach towel back here ready to go. I did pull out the carpet and padding because it only took a second. Next step, let's remove the kidney panels on both sides. You're going to want to get those removed and out of the way. And that's just a matter of undoing the whatever Phillips screws that you have and getting them out. If you've got speakers, you'll have to disconnect the speaker wires. Now that you got both kidney panels off, you want to get the center bracket out of the way. Set that to the side for right now. Take some pictures of this area too. Actually, you want to get this glove box out, so we'll remove everything in the glove box. For me, I'm going to need to take my cigarette lighter out, which I unscrewed. You can leave the bracket in. And again, take some pictures, and we're going to start by removing this bracket. There's 2 screws here and down here. Get this bracket out of the way, unhook this hose, get this to lay down out of the way by just unscrewing it. So you want to get this stuff loose and out of the way next. Pretty easy. A couple screws up front. You will need a 7/16 wrench to get this one out. And you want to leave these screws out for now until you get the glove box out, and then I'm gonna screw them back up there so I don't lose them. But they may interfere with getting the cardboard out. Next, get this front one off. You're just gonna tuck it to the side, and I'm gonna loosen up this bracket here for the foot heater thing, just so it's a little bit away from the box. I'm not gonna remove it, I'm just gonna loosen it up. So this thing is loose now. And I believe you're gonna leave this hose alone for right now. Leave it alone, and we're gonna work on the glove box. Light bulb. So you're gonna reach your hand up in here, feel for that bulb, and just snip it out of there. Just let it sit to the side. All right. So I've removed 5 screws. Now we're gonna wiggle and jiggle this thing and see if that's it. Removing this lower screw will help get that glove box out. I forgot to do that. So I'm gonna take it out now to make it easier getting it back in later. But that screw protrudes pretty far on this side. And so you wanna get it out of the way so that the cardboard gets past it, if that makes sense. This thing is not easy to remove. The key is, remember, it's really not gonna go out more versus tilt down. See, you kind of got to get it wiggled so that it wants to kind of go down. I can't do it with one hand, but once you get it, it's got to clear this front lip here, and then it's going to want to drop down. You're just going to have to trust me on that. I've done this before. And the key is to get this front lip here out of the conflicts up front, and then it's gonna wanna. Well, it's getting there. It's stuck on the pipes over here. Of course, this is old 50-year-old cardboard. There's only so much you can do. I'm sure it's just going to be just as easy to get back in. Look at that. I was actually able to do it with one hand. Super easy. That you're going to need a 5/16, and I didn't even put the wrench on it. I just stuck it up there and turned it, and then they're finger loose, so they came right out. Next, I'm going to loosen up these two screws. And you want to pull these hoses off the bulkhead. If you haven't replaced this bulkhead, it's probably going to rot and fall apart on you like it did me, but this one is fairly new for me, so I know it's going to be fine. There we go. Touch fluid. I installed my flush kit T, so I can keep it a sealed unit in case I want to start the car. Or you can stick a piece of PVC in here or some copper piping, do whatever you want to connect it up if you want to keep it sealed. Okay. Now I've got a temporary hose hooked up to the bottom. I ran it into a juice bottle. I've got my air here. So I want to gently coax that coolant out of the heater core. Next up, we're gonna loosen up these two bulkhead hoses. This one and this one. I'm gonna right now leave them intact on the heater core to help keep from spillage from occurring when I do get this thing out eventually. So hoses are disconnected now. Drained a little bit out. I tucked all the wires behind my emergency bonnet release. So anything in the way on this side is these three cables. So I'm gonna have to figure out which direction I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna need to get those loosened up in order to get this box out. Hopefully I can keep the radio in, but this is all news for me too. So I'm gonna work on the other side. Next up on the left-hand side, let's get these two ducts disconnected, and then you're going to get this cable disconnected. Looks like there's a nut here and a nut here, and then we'll work on the wiring. Behind this duct is the fourth bolt that holds this thing to the bulk. This one's down here. So you're gonna get that unscrewed, and the only thing holding it up is those two on the right hand side. That'll be the last thing we take out. So you can go ahead and get this one undone now. This came out real easy. This here is really stuck. So how I got it loose was I had to thin pair of needle nose that I shoved in from the backside, and that held it in place. There's nothing for it to torque against other than this wire, so you have to get it held somehow. But that did the trick. It loosened up right away. I just had to get it clamped in there real hard with this needle nose. The last step on this side is to disconnect you got your heater switch right here. You gotta get disconnected. Get those wires, get the wiring harness loose. I got one disconnected right here. This is the one that's on the bottom, right there. And I think there's two on the top that you gotta pull off. And then there's a ground wire too we gotta hunt down. So you can see the wiring harness coming out of the back motor, so we gotta get all that stuff loose. So disconnecting the switches, that's these here. I learned that this one, this one on the bottom of the switch, that can stay on. That must be the power, because that's not connected. So what we're chasing right now is this black wire right here. This is a ground line. So we gotta find the other end of it on the steering column, get disconnected. I can tell you if it's a pain in the ass, I'm just gonna snip it and put a connector here. But that black line is part of this harness here and needs to come out with the blower motor. So it looks like basically 3 wires, I guess. And we gotta find the other end of that black line. Well, that was back braking, but I found it. So I followed this black line right here. The key was, gotta remove this bracket. It's hooked up right here. Get your wrench on it, right here. And that ground line, it goes over the steering rack and back under. And it's actually connected to the bottom of the steering rack right here. So it's actually really easy to get at. So this line here is what runs over to here. So just take that nut off and you'll be able to get your ground wire for the heater motor. For me, I'm gonna remove the heater control cable because mine is broken, and it'll be easier to get that box out, without that. And so that's why I've unscrewed that nut and this nut and got this loose. I'm gonna try and leave the choke cables in place though. Next step is we're gonna remove these 2 cables, get them all the way to the heater box. A lot of people, for some reason, have trouble with this, but I'm just using a paper clip. And there's a little hole down here. Really as simple as that. Just gonna get it in the hole. Kind of hard to do it with one hand, but simple as that. I don't know a great way to get these things off. This one's got a couple of notches, which is nice. I'm just gonna take a small screwdriver, small hammer. I'm just gonna tap it. Hopefully it gets loose enough I can see with my fingers. Yeah, it's moving. Well, this one I'm just gonna do the tapping thing. It seems to work okay. By lifting up on the metal thing, I was able to relieve the pressure on it and it just came right off. So now I'm in a position where I can get this thing out. And I've disconnected it, so this should pull right out. So mine is broken. That's a different project, but mine, I have to replace mine. It's sheared off right here. So I can turn the heat on, but I can't turn it off. So I bought a new one. This one's a little trickier. It doesn't have a notch, but I'm gonna do the same trick. I'm gonna wiggle on the wires in the back. Yeah. Yeah. See? Starting to get off my fingers. There we go. There we go. Now we gotta remove the last 2 bolts here and here. It's pretty easy. Get your, it's a 7/16 and get on it and get those out, and that should loosen up the heater box in theory. Tip would be to lower the glove box, and they're right there. So pretty easy to do. Well, I mean, these things are out of the way. The wires, I think it's loose. Hopefully, I don't feel. It's definitely loose. Just gotta figure out how to. It's got that bolt on the other side, which is concerning me. Oh, here it comes. Let's see here. Oh, it's getting stuck on this water line. A little bit of water. Almost. Oh my God. Get some radial wires hooked up on here. God damn it. There we go. There's that. Oh my gosh. All right. Wow. Now this thing's broke. So hopefully we can get this thing fixed. That's how you move a heater core.